I think the biggest tip that I can ever give you when you're buying a property cash is actually a deal that I was involved in where we're buying a deal, a small block of flats of around about maybe about, I think it was 6 units, and we were going to be buying it for 1.6 million. And had I not had my own transferring attorney, I think I would have lost that money. But they got to save the deal. And I know that for many people, they're already asking yourself a question to say, teacher, how can you have your own transferring attorney when the tradition says that the transferring attorney is chosen by the seller? Yes, that is correct. And I think what I want to do today is actually give you the role players when you're buying a property cash, because if we understand the role players and the process thereof, you can be able to see how I was able to save my 1.6 million, and that money was not lost, but it became a 1 year struggle for me to get that money back. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TJ. Welcome aboard. And ba-bum, if you've never been here before, this is what we do. I come out every Monday or every Wednesday and I share with you some of my tips whilst I am doing some of these deals on the ground and the lessons that I'm getting. You can go to school, yes, but the real teacher is in the doing. And today I want to showcase with you within that process. But let's talk about the process of actually buying a property cash. What is the process? Let's start off with talking about who are the role players involved. So firstly, you've got a guy that is called you. You are going out there, you got some cash, whether it is cash that you have saved up, high five to you, or whether it is cash that you have inherited, high five to you. Someone else has given you some money for you to progress with your life, so high five to you. Or whichever way that you've got it. Robert Kiyosaki says the other way of becoming a millionaire is to get married to one. And yeah, what you do there, we don't want to know. But let's jump into the deal. Right, so you've got the buyer, which is you, and you've got the seller. And the seller is someone else who is selling the property. And then over and above that, there is other role players that are going to be involved indirectly. And this person, we can call them an estate agent. I want to clarify here. The estate agent is a person who facilitates the deal. They don't own the property. They are just the facilitator. Very important for us to understand that the estate agent is a legit estate agent, because things can go wrong as well. I think I'm going to do a video about things that have gone wrong with an estate agent. Yeah, I think so too. Then the other person here is a transferring attorney. And I'm going to give an example of a deal that is buying or selling for R1 million. So I'm talking to you, you are the buyer. This is tip for you, who is the buyer, right? And in this case here, now that we have identified the role players, these could be 4 different people. There are 4 different people, or should I say maybe 4 entities included here. The buyer, the seller, the estate agent, and now a transferring attorney. The transferring attorney, my friends, is generally, it's an option for the seller to choose a transferring attorney. But you, the buyer, get to pay for the services, which is something that has been like bugging me for a long time. Ever since I've been doing real estate investments, I've been wondering, why does the seller needs to choose who the transferring attorney is and I get to pay for it? Why shouldn't I be choosing who that person is? And today's tip is very much based upon this philosophy, because I do think that especially if you're buying cash, your entire cash is at risk. Yep. So let's assume that we are buying a property for R1 million. So within this million, let's start talking about the steps. There's around about 10 steps involved here, and I'm going to tell you at the end of the video on how I got to save my 1.6 million. Number 1, obviously the seller and the estate agents have already agreed to selling. So you go and you view this property, and upon this viewing property, you are happy with it. And with the happy of it, number 2, you're putting in an offer to purchase. And when you put in your offer to purchase, the third step is that now the seller gets to accept your offer. And this is not verbal, my friends. This is a document that has been drafted. Where do you get this document? The document is called an offer to purchase, and your seller, or should I say your estate agent, should be able to provide you with this document. Bearing in mind that this document, it's a template. So it's not usually customized to your needs. So you need to read this document. Upon reading this document, you need to make sure that all the conditions that are in there, and my friends, if you've never done conditions before, maybe you also need to come to school, because conditions can make or break a deal. What do I mean by conditions? When you're putting in an offer to purchase, you say, I am buying the property because I like it, right? But I'll buy it on the condition that is fixed, on the condition that I get 100% bond, on the conditions that, you get what I mean? So if all conditions are met, then that's good. Then the transaction can go ahead. So we are now on step number 3, and now we go on to step number 4. So the offer to purchase has been accepted, and now the estate agent goes through to do their work in the background, because remember, this is a cash deal. On the offer to purchase, generally they will mention who the transferring attorney is, and the transferring attorney is generally appointed with the seller. So in this case, the seller would have appointed their attorney, whoever that their attorney is. Let's just call them John Brown, right? So John Brown now Incorporated is the attorney. Now, what's going to happen now on step number 4 is that the transferring attorney, their job is to actually dive into the transaction to see that the FICA documents, right, who is buying the property and who owns the property. And they will check all of this documentation, and then thereafter they will draft what is called a deed sale. And now within this deed sale, we will draft the paperwork to go and lodge. And lodge just basically means that they are preparing the documents to go and change the ownership from the seller to the buyer at the deeds office. Okay, and we'll speak about that a little bit later. But now you've just been introduced to your transferring attorney, and the transferring attorney now writes an email to you and say, hi, I am John Brown, the attorney, and I am going to be looking after this transaction. Normally that's what should happen. They should be of professional, and they also give you a call and then introduce themselves. The second email in generally that you would also receive from these John Brown attorneys is that they will then introduce themselves to say they are looking after the transaction, but they are also requesting the 1 million. Remember, we're just talking about the 1 million that the seller is selling their property and there's a buyer, and now they are requesting that money to be in their trust account. So each attorney, they have what they are called a trust account, and this trust account is not held by the attorney themselves, but they have trust accounts with different banks. So basically, they put that money. It's called to put it on trust. So you are entrusting them with this money. So you, the buyer, now give this attorney the money, and you send it to them. And I'm not happy with that because I don't know this John Brown. I don't know this attorney from any bar of soap. So why should I be giving him my 1 million? Well, we are entrusting that they are an attorney and there is a higher body that they are supposed to be reporting into. But can things go wrong? Yes, my friends, things went wrong with my deal of the 1.6 million. And we ended up having to go all the way to the Law Society to lodge a complaint on this attorney, and the money was still stuck with them. The reason why I'm sharing with this process with you in this big tip is obviously you do not fall into the same pitfall. And my friends, if this is of value that we are sharing here, share it with other people. And also, if you're not being part of the tribe and you're not a subscriber on here, I would urge you subscribe, because this is information, good information that we're sharing. We share plenty of this information. Step number 5 is that the transferring attorney is going to ask for the money, right? And step number 6 is that they will also, in the same process, John Brown, the attorney, they will send you their invoice. So normally these guys generally don't start working if they haven't been paid. And they never ask for part payment. They always ask for the full payment, right? And that also bugs me a little bit. I'm like, but anyway, we're just talking about the process, right? We're not talking about what bugs me or what doesn't. But as an investor, there are certain things that I'm just wary about. You know what I mean? I'm a businessman. Why am I paying you for everything when you haven't done the job? We all know we pay part payments as and when the job is being done. And when the job is done, we pay you full amount. But it doesn't work like this when you're buying a property. So now we are on step number 6. They've asked for the invoice, and obviously now you need to pay them. So bingo, send the money. When you send the money, what's going to start happening is that this transferring attorney is going to ask the municipality what is called clearance rates or rates clearance, right? And what is this rates clearance? It is us, or should I say the seller, now closing off their municipality account where electricity and water is. Someone asked me the other day, TJ, so if I'm buying a property cash, what happens here? And I said, well, the rates clearance certificate constitute or gives you the comfort that the attorney has closed that account, and at a later stage when the property has been registered in your name, that's when you can actually go now and open up a new account in the municipality by yourself. Does it make sense? Awesome stuff. So we are on step number 6, and this is where the attorney has asked for transfer for his fees, and this is now what we now call transfer fees. And with that, they also then go on to ask for rates clearance from the municipality. This may take, let's say, maybe a couple of weeks, depending on the municipality itself, and if there are no issues on the account. But if there is issues on the account, brace yourself. You might go through for this for a month or two, whatever it is. Then number 8, what will happen is that you now need to change the ownership. So not you per se, but the transferring attorney is going to call you together with the seller, and they're going to ask of you to sign over the paperwork. And when I say sign over, what does that mean? It basically means that the seller is now saying, yes, here is, I am going to receive my money, and I am the sole owner of this property, and I'm selling it. But it's a couple of documents, but if you read it, that's basically what it says. And they are giving consent to the attorney to go to the deeds office to obviously change the ownership to their name into your name. Your name here is basically either a company, either a trust, or in your personal name, which we do not advocate here at the tribe. We are of the view that you should always buying properties in the right entities for your growth and for your succession, and obviously to create an amazing legacy for yourself and the generations to come. Right, so now that the property has lodged, what does lodging mean? It basically means that you and the seller and the attorney, you signed the paperwork, and upon signing off, both of you, you don't have to sign both of you in the same place. I could be maybe in London and you could be in Johannesburg. And for the fact that we are in different places, that also delays the paperwork, because I need to go and sign in London where I am in front of another attorney. So which basically means your attorney now needs to find another attorney that side, call me, go there, wait for the paperwork to come back, and the originals are needed. But if all of you are in the same town, hey, it can be done in no time. So you can actually buy a property cash, and in a month's time it could have registered for in your name. That's the quickest I have seen, but there could be multiple delays along the way here. So now that the property has lodged, it takes another plus minus 7 days, and then bingo, the property is in your name. Again, you will get your last email from your attorney, and they will say, congratulations, Mr. X, because now your property has just lodged and it is registered at the deeds, and bingo, it is in your name. And now what? Well, we've gone through the process. That is the 100% process of it. But maybe you're still wondering, TJ, so what is the tip here? I didn't really get it. I'm going to re-explain it, but this time around, because you understand the process, I'm going to point it out, okay? Now that you have finished with your lodging and the property is registered in your name, what is the next thing? Some attorney, they go to the council and open an account for you. Not all of them, but I got a good transferring attorneys, right? So yeah, but you can ask them as well. It's a service maybe that they render, and my transferring attorney, they charge a very small fee, like I think it's about 100 Rand or somewhere there, and they do it for us, and that's a no-brainer for us to pay 100 Rand for not going to the council. I'm gonna do it. Now that you now own the property, you go to the municipality and you open your account. What is the big tip here? Right, I did give you an indication of the entire process. Where I want to point out the biggest tip that saved me 1.6 million is at step number 4. Actually, no. At step number 1, when I went to view the property and I received the offer to purchase, I always say to people, try to negotiate with the agent so that you can put your own transferring attorney. But TJ, where am I going to get a transferring attorney? Well, you're in the business of buying real estate. Isn't that so? Or you know other like-minded people who are always buying real estate. So ask for recommendation. Here at the tribe, if you are in the tribe and learning with us, we have a list of attorneys where you can actually jump in trusted, and many of them I have worked, actually not many of them, all of them that you will see in the tribe, I have personally worked with them. They have done a deal for me, 1 or 2 or even more. So I know them very well. So you can use that. Or you can go and do your own research to find a transferring attorney that you can give the money to. Which money am I talking about? Remember, in step number 5, the transferring attorney that has been appointed by the seller will send you an email to ask for the selling price. In this case, I am saying to you, replace that transferring attorney with your attorney so that your attorney can then ask you of that money. In this case, this attorney is now working for you because you have appointed them. And for that reason, they can't be reckless with your money. Make sense? Because they are working for you. Or the other alternative, that was tip number 1, the other alternative, which is tip number 2, is that you can save your money in the bank, wherever it is, and then you ask this transferring attorney, John Brown Incorporated, to say what are the terms, and then you go to your bank, and then the bank will then release guarantees. What is a guarantee? A guarantee basically says that the bank is standing surety for this person because this person has the money in their bank account, and here is the letter to prove it. What the bank will also do is that they will hold that money into their trust, so you won't be able to use it. So basically they are vouching for you. In layman terms, they are vouching for you that you got the dough, the 1 million. And then thereafter, what's going to happen? What will happen is that that piece of paper will go to the other attorney, and that's a guarantee for you to start working. The biggest tip here that I'm trying to share with you, my friends, is that be in control of your cash. If you can walk away today on this video, what is it that you have learned? Be in control of your cash. If it is with you at the bank, then you are in control of it because you are the client to the bank. If you are sending it to your transferring attorney, you are in control with the bank. You are in control with the transferring attorney. Does it make sense? Now, how did it happen for me that I almost got to lose 1.6 million? Well, basically this was before I knew all of these things, and we were buying a property, a 6 block of flats for cash, and it was a little bit of a rundown place. And basically what we did, we gave the transferring attorney, John Brown, they were not our attorneys, they were the seller's attorney. And we then sent, when they asked at step number 5 to say, we need the money, send us the cash. And we sent them the cash, the 1.6 million. And then they took a month not coming back to us, and it was 3 months not coming back to us. Then it was 4 months. Then we started freaking out, like, what's happening here? And when we knocked on their doors to say, hey, what's happening? We couldn't get any responses. Another 2 months went by and we were getting really worried. We went to their offices. The offices were closed. And they were no longer picking up our phone calls. And then randomly they sent an email and says they were now around and they apologized. They've been sick and all of those things. And we're like, okay, fine. We understand that they were sick, but now let's go on with the job. And then immediately then they responded and say, the seller lost the title deeds. So we need to go and apply for new title deeds. Now this is like 8 months in. And the deal hasn't concluded. And they have the money. So we put them on terms. In other words, we were saying, no, we don't want the deal anymore. And we realized that actually the attorney had actually paid out the money to the seller. And they were thinking that everything is great. And now they don't have the money. So we lodged, I consulted with an attorney friend of mine and I said, brother, how can we work around this? And they said, look, you don't know whether the money has been passed on or not. You're thinking it is. So let's do some investigation and let's go and engage with the Law Society. We went to the Law Society and they summoned the lady to come through, and truth Bob, the money had gone out to the seller because they thought that the transaction was almost concluding. Obviously, she had their own beef with the Law Society, where basically I think she got, or maybe she got disbarred, I don't know, whatever that happened there. But nonetheless, the seller actually eventually reversed the money in 1 year, 3 months. They then sent the money back to us and we said we were not wanting to sell the property anymore. But there were many issues on the property that we couldn't resolve, and the attorney had already passed on the money. Now, this attorney wasn't working for me. If they had been working for me, they would never release the money because they are working for me. They would have waited for instruction from me. So my friends, I hope this video has been of great information to you. And if it is, let me know. If you have been involved in any situation like this one, in the comments, let us know so that all of us, we can learn. Or if you do have further questions, in the comments, let us know. But it is I, TJ. It's been great hanging out with you. We will see you on part 2 of this video because I do have further tips and time is not on our side, but I will jump onto the next video and I will tell you what part 2 is. It is I, TJ. We'll check you out on the next video.